My name is Ben Jansen van Rensburg. I'm the owner of a solar company called Affordable Power Solutions. This morning I am with one of my clients, Tim Smith. Tim had a bit of a bad experience in solar, and I'm going to ask him to just tell you guys about it. Tim, hi. If you can maybe just tell us what happened with you and what was your experience in solar. Why did you decide to put solar in the first place, and then what happened to you?
Well, to your prospective viewers, I'm sad to say I had a terrible, absolute terrible experience in the whole process of putting an installation in. I contacted an individual who had done previous work for me, which I found was acceptable and of the right standard. He went out and so-called got 3 quotes to install a solar panel system. I basically contracted him to be the project manager on the whole project, and I trusted him. Not implicitly, but I expected him to do the job correctly, which unfortunately turned out to be an absolute nightmare. And unfortunately, to your viewers, the problem is, although it's a nightmare, you have no control or recourse against the cowboys out there who are totally unprofessional. He put the installation in. After about 2 months, I had a need to go on top of the roof. It wasn't a rainy season, we had hardly any rain, and the panels that he had installed were already rusting. The equipment that he installed it didn't look like other installations that I had seen. He didn't put in lithium batteries, he put in gel batteries, which there was no reasonable need to have done, and didn't follow my instructions. Yes, he quoted me, and I accepted the quote, which was a problem, but like I said, you're putting your trust in other people knowing or thinking that they know what they're doing correctly. The red flags were flying not long after, and the installation had only been in for about 2 months. When we had load shedding, the whole system went down, which wasn't the purpose, and we had continually tripping of the equipment as well, which isn't good because with the tripping you put surges and it can damage your appliances at home. Yes, they came back on site, but the explanations were not satisfactory. I then decided to take the matter further, and I contacted the Electrical Contractors Association. They sent me a load of statutory documents and gazetted documents. In those documents, I came across another company, which was the Electrical Approved Inspection Authority for Southern Africa. These people actually come out and do an independent inspection of your equipment and the installation and the wiring, etc., etc. Obviously, you've got to pay for this inspection, which I did. Under this inspection, they found 17 faults, that the installation was not compliant. And if it's not compliant, your household insurance is effective and it won't cover you. After the installation and 2 months down the road, I'd asked for certificates of compliance, warranty on the equipment, and surety, etc. on the equipment. It was non-existent. I then found through the Electrical Contractors Association that the chap who installed the equipment wasn't registered with them as an electrical installer. The Electrical Approved Inspection Authority for Southern Africa works through the Department of Labour. And through these people, and because they weren't registered, I could bring criminal action against the electrical installer, which was my intention. Anyhow, everything basically backfired. I paid for a second inspection to be done, which cost me more money, etc., etc. Nothing happened through the Department of Labour. No charges were lodged against the installers. That left me with a situation where I thought of bringing a consumer action against these people, the project manager and the electrical installer. So therefore, I then contacted the National Consumer Council. National Consumer Council came back and said it wasn't under their mandate. I then contacted the Consumer Goods and Services Ombudsman. It wasn't under their mandate. The Consumer Goods and Services Ombudsman then referred me through to CSIS. Now, CSIS the name of CSIS is the Sustainable Energy Society for Southern Africa. This is a registered professional body, which again could not help me, but they gave me a lot of advice, and as attached to CSIS is an ombudsman department. And you know very well, Ben, you're associated to them, and that's how I got in contact with you. The only satisfaction here that you can get is that if you go through a registered company who is affiliated to CSIS, you do have some course of recourse against the installer, because they have an ombudsman department which will then take your case up and take action, or the appropriate action, against the company that is registered with them as affiliated membership. Like you know, you have to pay a subscription, and I just believe this is the correct way to go, and that's how we got in contact through your company, Affordable Power Solutions. Now, I could have, I thought very strongly, and the way I was treated, because the first installation cost me a lot of money, and I was thinking of taking legal action in my personal capacity against these people and their companies. The only problem I had, that unfortunately the solar panel industry is not regulated. So even if I took action against these people, I got no guarantees I was going to win this legal case at all. That's going to cost me in the region 400,000 to 500,000 going forward. And I'd already spent, and I don't mind people know, over $250,000 on this first installation. You came on site, you had a look at the equipment, and as my suspicions were confirmed, I paid the highest rate for the cheapest premium possible. The main part of the installation is your inverter. This inverter you could not purchase through an outlet, as you advised me, like the builder's warehouse, because they wouldn't even sell that quality of equipment. It was a complete waste of time. The wiring was all wrong. The circuit breakers were wrong. Everything in the installation was wrong. We considered, as you suggested, at looking and possibly trying to cut my costs down, leaving some of the equipment in and building around it. We then came to the conclusion that was also a waste of time. So what we did, we actually ripped out the whole installation completely, and I contracted to Affordable Power Solutions to put a brand new installation in, which I must say, it's been in for a couple of months. I'm seeing the effects of the installation in reduced power consumption, and it is perfectly working well in a load shedding environment. So I'm very happy, and the only thing I can say and warn people is that there are cowboys out there. They're not registered. They do not have qualified electricians doing the installation. And the problem that you are going to have is after the installation, you've got to have a certificate of compliance. And if you don't get that, you've got major problems.
In Tim's case, they even gave him a certificate of compliance, but it was totally fraudulent.
Yeah.
Am I right, Tim?
That's correct.
I'll say, so you know what, if you deal with the wrong guys, even if it looks right, it won't be right.
Exactly.
Yeah, to just recap, Tim spent R250,000 on a system that was less than 80,000 rand. Everything was basically wrong with it. The wiring was wrong. I found one, they had a bus bar box in that was fine. The rest of the stuff was all inferior products, the wrong products, etc., etc. As Tim mentioned, he got my number from the ombudsman, and the fact, first of all, that the ombudsman referred him to me says something about our company. We believe and we try to keep up the highest standards. The
only thing I would like to say, and I want to emphasize this, if you make the wrong decisions in a solar panel installation, you do not have any recourse. You do not have any recourse from the government departments. You do not have any recourse from a legal point of view. You are, in many simple wording, stuffed. You have then to bring in somebody at another company to correct the problems that you're experiencing.
And it cost you then double, which
and it's
it
going to
did.
cost you double the money. My only regret, and I say this sincerely, and I'm not just saying I'm sitting next to Ben, is I did not become in contact with Affordable Power Solutions before. I got ripped off completely. It was my fault, I accepted, but the problem being was there is no formal recourse against the cowboys. So if you're going to deal with somebody and put in a proper solar panel installation, you have to go, in my opinion, through a registered and professional body, which is CISA. They referred me to their representatives in the Gauteng area. At least you have some form of recourse against the company should anything go wrong. And the question I would like to put to your viewers is, why would a company like Affordable Power Solutions register with CISA, which has an ombudsman department, if they weren't professional? Because they're putting their own company's name and their own professionalism at risk.
You're very right, Tim, because it's voluntary. And first of all, it's voluntary, and secondly, you can't just register there. They obviously need to see all your qualifications. The people that's doing the installations, they want to see where you are all registered. They want to see the jobs that's been done, by your company. So it's not just that easy. And then secondly, as Tim said correctly, if you know that you aren't qualified enough to do the job, or you're going to cut some corners, then you don't want to be having the ombudsman looking over your shoulder and looking at the quality of your work. So and the thing is, none of we call them fly-by-nights, and some of them parade. Really, they look good. If by the looks of it, they look quite good, but we really had very, very bad. We've seen very bad jobs. We've seen where people put solar panels up with silicon and even with cable ties, and we know that won't last. And more worse than that is the fact that it will affect the warranties of your products. Like Tim said, with these previous solar panels, although the solar panels got an aluminium frame, these people put it in a steel. They used basically angle iron, and because of the two materials, then your the aluminium actually starts to rust, and all of that disqualifies you. Normally, a solar panel will have 25 years warranty. In this case, yours was within a year. It was totally rusted.
You're correct, Bill. Yeah.
Yeah. So all that.
But the problem was, I never had the warranty.
Yeah.
I never had any documentation from these people. Yeah. I never had a certificate of compliance. Yeah. I was out there on my own, and my household's insurance wouldn't have covered it.
Wouldn't cover it, yes.
And after repeated requests, as you said, they sent me a certificate of compliance, and they quote there the electrical reference number for the contractor. It was invalid when we checked it out. It was a complete disaster from day one. They came back on site for a second visit, which they were compelled to do, to attend to the 17 faults that they didn't do it in the first installation. They didn't even do it. All they dropped was a earth leakage from the solar panels into the ground. That took them a whole day to do, and from there on in, as I said earlier, we had continual tripping of electricity, which isn't good for power supplies. And then eventually, like we said, we brought in Affordable Power Solutions, and the problems were corrected. And you can only go through a professional company that is committed to be registered with a professional body.
Thank you so much, Tim.
You carry on now.
And then just one last thing. Tim mentioned that even with his previous solar system, he had the system tripped up to 7 times a day. How many times did your new system trip so far?
Nothing.
Especially per day?
Nothing. And the nice thing about it, though, Ben, is since the installation, we've had, I won't say a lot, but one or two
Other people.
Power cuts. Load shedding.
Load
My
shedding.
apologies.
Yes.
Load shedding. And not once have we been affected by the load shedding.
Okay.
My apologies for that.
And before you had load shedding even with your solar system?
Yes.
And on the first installation, this was where the red flags came. We have a load shed, and although I got solar panels in, everything would go down. We weren't operational. And the whole point of putting the solar panel system in was, one, to combat the load shedding situation. Two, to reduce our consumption of electricity from Eskom, because Eskom is continually raising their prices through the regulator, and Eskom's debt, and because they've got to deal with their debt. And secondly, that in a load shed situation, my wife and I want a little bit of luxury, knowing that all our appliances are going to be working. We can watch the TV and just relax and enjoy the evening together.
Which is happening now.
And which is happening now.
Okay.
Exactly.
I can maybe also just mention one other thing. The batteries that was fitted for Tim before, that's your normal gel batteries. That was the cheapest of the cheapest in any case, but they normally comes with a 2-year warranty. And normally when there is a problem, they always have stories, the warranties actually means nothing. The batteries that Tim's got in now is lithium batteries, a very, very well-known brand, very good brand. He's got a 10-year warranty on his batteries, he's got a 5-year warranty on his inverter, and he's got a 25-year warranty on his solar panels. And then from our side, Affordable Power Solutions, we every installation that we do, we give a 25-year workmanship warranty, and then additional, if you become one of our VIP members like Tim is, we also include a 10-year service plan, and there's at least 12 good points to that, but I'll just mention one or two. The very first one is for the next 10 years, should anything ever go wrong, and we need to send a technician out, there won't be any call-out fees, because normally people charge you a call-out fee, they charge you per kilometer, they charge you per hour. nothing. You won't have any of that cost, Tim. What you've paid now, you've got a proper system. If anything goes wrong, I'm a phone call away. And all of that will be dealt with without any additional cost at a later stage to you. Should anything happen, for example, to your inverter, we'll put a loan unit up for you while you wait for yours to be repaired. Because sometimes, depending on various factors and so on, it can take anything from 1 week to 7-8 weeks to have your components repaired. Your inverters, depending on which type of inverter and how available the parts are and things like that. So in that time, you will still enjoy the life you're enjoying now. You're not going to sit without, when there's load shedding, you're not going to load shed with the rest of the people. So that's just in short, this is what Tim is enjoying now. And as I'm saying, there's much more to the service plan, but I'm just mentioning two of the things that I've got in the back of my head, also not to make the video too long. But all of that can be, you can have a look at our service plan and all the rest of our stuff on our website. Our website address is www.affordablepowersolutions.co.za.
Ben, I would just like to say, and to your viewers as well, that your company showed a lot of professionalism. The technician who came in and did the installation was meticulous in what he did. He took his time. It wasn't a rush job. In fact, it took over 1.5 weeks to put the installation in, and you dotted the I's and you crossed the T's. And before I even went ahead with this installation, you and I had a number of telephone calls, and you explained to me verbally over the phone what you could do, what you did do, and what you are going to do. And I was very comfortable with that as well. So your professionalism speaks volumes for your company, and the fact that I went with you as well, even after all the experience that I'd had with the previous installers. And as you said, there was no point in building on the existing installation because all the equipment was a waste of time and it was complete and utter rubbish. I even sent an email after Ben's installation to the previous installers and told them that they could purchase the equipment back at a reasonable price. I never had an email back from them. That shows you what rubbish they were. They were total cowboys, fly-by-nights, and people out there who are thinking of an installation of this nature have to be very careful and dot the I's and cross the T's, because I am fortunate I could afford to rip out the installation and put a new installation in along the same levels. There are a lot of people out there who come in contact with the fly-by-nights and they want a low-key installation because that is what their affordability is. And when something goes wrong, there's no meat available for them to correct, and therefore they have a very difficult situation. They either have to sit with the same installation and persevere with all the problems that are going on, or they have to find some money that they can just alter or build on the existing installation, which, as you said earlier, is going to cost them double the amount of money, unfortunately.
I can also maybe just add, Tim mentioned that the very people that did the installation weren't interested in buying these old equipment back at a reasonable price. I told Tim's wife, June was a little bit concerned because of the fact that they're actually paying double, and that was just, it was just before December, so it was not a good time. So it's a lot of money, and with all everything that's happening in the country, it's a lot of money, and so I said to them that I will resell the equipment, and I have sold about half of it already.
Correct, yeah.
And the rest of it is available, and I will be selling it within the next month. Obviously telling everyone that it is second hand, and where there is no more warranties. I'll tell people that there is no more warranties, and then because of all of that, we also will sell it at a much reduced price because of the damage that's been done, and obviously the quality of the stuff. I think we covered pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Just in general, our biggest problem, Tim, is a lot of times when people ask, can you give me a quotation, and how does your quotation compare against company A, B, and C? And the only way to get the quotation down is to take shortcut. You can put less fuses in, you can put cheaper fuses in. You get a 275 rand fuse and you get a 1,200 rand fuse. And the difference is the one is insurance approved, it's got test certificates, and the others don't. But the public don't know that. The guys just see, for example, I can put a combiner box in, which will cost the guy 4,500 rand, and another guy can put the same combiner box in for 1,800. It's what's in the combiner box, and so forth. So there's a lot of shortcuts to be taken. Some guys don't even put all the fuses in that's necessary. I've seen guys that don't put fuses in at all, and so forth and so forth. So, to what I always say, and I'm sure, okay, in your case, Tim, they've put a cheap inferior system in, but they charged you. They way overcharged you.
Correct.
But what happens a lot out there is people put cheaper systems in for cheaper than what the guy that does it properly can give that system to the clients. And then people fall prey to that, because who don't want to use that guy if you can save 10,000 rand, or whatever the case might be. And what I always say, and I'm sure you will agree with me, is that the most expensive solar system is the cheap one.
Yes.
In your case, you paid for two expensive ones and only get one.
Yes.
But in most other people, and about 20% of our work is rectifying other people's jobs.
I can imagine.
And sometimes people, we had one, and I'm not going to mention exactly, but we had one where the people spent 80,000. That was all they had. They took out a loan on the house. That's all that they could get. And they got a guy in, and they installed the stuff for them. And very bad install. There was no fuses, no breakers, no nothing. The solar panels, they also made a frame. They basically had they made the same frame than what yours was in, and so forth. That was wrong. And then they cable tied it. They drill holes through the roof and they cable tied it. So now the sun is that cable tie is not gonna last longer than 4 months. And then when it rains, what about the holes they drilled? This is some of the horror stories that we see. So, so one of the reasons why I'm speaking to you today, Tim, is to also make people aware that it's not always about, you think you save 10,000 rand, but over the long term, even with cheaper batteries, lithium batteries is slightly more. They are more expensive than gel batteries. But first of all, you can use 80 to 100% of the battery, depending on the brand and things like that. Where with your normal batteries, your gel batteries and so forth, you can only use 50%. And then the other thing is, let's just say that battery lasts 3 years. If one of those batteries are used in banks, if one of that batteries get a bad cell, you have to replace the whole bank. So the first time you do that, it costs you more than what you would have just from the start put decent stuff in. So, Tim, thank you very much. I don't know if you still want to...
I concur with everything you've said there, Ben, and that was the point I was making. Some people take themselves or extend themselves to put in a solar panel system, and that's as good as they can afford, but unfortunately there can be comebacks if they don't have it done properly. In our case, we went through somebody we knew, and we'd done work for us previously, and who we thought we could trust, and was going to do a good job for us through a project management job, because he was going to oversee the whole thing. And we were basically just let down.
Unfortunately, where money is concerned, sometimes that happens. And I can maybe also just say something. Obviously, not everyone has unlimited funds. So what we do is, and I do get clients that will say to me, listen, for example, I've got 80,000 rand. I can use this guy, and and probably will have problems later on, or I can use you guys, but you probably will charge more than him because for obvious reasons. What we do is all our systems are fully scalable. So if you've got a limited budget, we start you where you are. I like to start with a good inverter, because your inverter is the heart of your whole system. So start with a good inverter, and then we can work it up from there. We can always add more inverters should need arise. We can always add more batteries. We can always add more solar panels. We can even start without solar panels just as a backup system for load shedding. So there's different solutions to different problems, and we look at a lot of things when we look at what size system you need. We also look at your budget and things like that. So if I hear what you've got in mind, I can work out a system for you. And if that system is a little bit out of your reach, we can start and we can work it in phases. We also we've got a company that's also doing finance for us. So that sometimes happens that people come, and unfortunately that company, depending your solar system is dependent on your usage. So some households that's bigger use more, so they'll need a bigger system. And if you've got a small household, obviously you'll need less, and you can get away with a cheaper system because you'll have less batteries, less solar panels, and things like that. So in a case like that, if we start with a smaller system, we will look at what you need, and if you are a little bit short, we'll put in what we can for it to work, and we'll maybe take you 70% off the grid, 60% of the grid, depending on how much you can afford. And then as time progresses, we can always just add on. And even I've mentioned we've got a company that's also doing loans for some of our clients, and they can, their loans is up to 150,000 rand. There's other ways and means that one can also go around it, and there's other types of loans where you can get more. But for example, in a case like this, we had people before where they'll start with a system, and it's quite a big system, and they'll take that 150,000, they put it in, and a year later they've paid off on that, and then they'll take another 30 or 40,000 rand and they'll put in another battery and things like that. So they'll build the system, and in no time they'll have quite a nice system. And I've just spoken to Tim now. Within his first month, and his system was put in basically in the middle of the month. So the next account that he got, it was only basically half a month that the system was in, and his electricity usage was 916 rand.
Yeah.
So that's not bad. So obviously that will drop in the next month when the system is totally in.
Agreed, Ben.
So
But I'd just like to make the point, and this is a very important point I'm making. There is no regulated authority out there, unfortunately, for the fly-by-nights.
Yes.
And that is where people have to tread very carefully. As I said earlier in the interview, I went through the National Consumer Council. I went through the Consumer Goods and Services Ombudsman, and solar panel installations do not fall under their mandates.
You see, if the people that installed it is not registered with any one of these authorities, they don't have authority over them. Like with us, if I do something and you feel unhappy about it, and you ask me to come and rectify it, and I don't do it, if for any reason you're unhappy with me, you pick up the phone, you phone the ombudsman, he will phone me, and he'll, because I'm a member of them, he can force me, he can say, listen, go and fix that, Okay, I must be honest with you. One of the reasons why I joined them, first of all, is I know our work is 100% correct. Further on, I want people to know that they can expect a good job, because it's voluntary. I open myself up, because if I take shortcut, then someone's gonna hit me over the fingers. So, but because I know I don't have a problem. I just wanted to add one other thing. So just to recap, so the guys that's not registered with anyone, there's nothing you can do about them. If they decide to block you on the phone or never to answer the phone again, it's just one of those things. There's nothing.
I think that is what people must first investigate before they engage with any company, is, are they registered with a professional body, and in terms of that professional body, what recourse do you have against a member of that body? And that's very important, because at least then you've got some recourse and some channels to go through. Currently, there is nothing out there, the various ombudsman's departments are not interested.
Mm.
And therefore, like we said, and get back to the point, people are going to be conned, it's going to cost them money. And it's going to cost them money to correct the problems.
Mm.
It's as simple as that.
Thank you, Tim. I really appreciate it. And if I think you already said it, if you ever have to do it again, you'll just phone us straight away and save
Definitely.
yourself a lot of money.
Definitely.
So-
And thank you, June, for the coffee.
And thank you, June, for the coffee. June's his wife. June, can you maybe just quickly peep in here, and
Say hello.
if you don't mind, and just say hello.
We?
Sit next to us. Just sit here next to
My husband.
yeah, I'm sorry she came a little bit later. Otherwise, she would have been Tim. June is Tim's wife, and yeah, as I mentioned her before, I said she was a bit concerned because of the fact that they have to fork out now again a lot of money and so forth. And I said to her that I'll sell the old stuff to them, and I think I keep my word so far.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
you
did
have.
well.
Yes,
Very
you
well. Thank you.
Yes, you have.
And thank you for all your help and guidance over the last couple of months. Much appreciated. Thank you.
100%. Thank you so much, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, June.
Nice to have met you.
Thank you so
At long
much.
last. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Awesome.
Okay.